Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, building experiences that connect, remove friction, and deliver insights. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me today is Jeremy Delk. Jeremy is a serial entrepreneur with a passion for disrupting industries. Born and raised in a small town, blue-collar household, he jumped into entrepreneurial ventures with the naivety of a child and the tenacity of a tycoon. Since 2001, Jeremy's businesses have earned hundreds of millions in revenue, created hundreds of high-paying jobs, and earned one of Inc. 500's fastest-growing company distinctions. Now focused on investing in and advising entrepreneurs, Jeremy shares the good, the bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Jeremy Delk.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, first off, Jeremy, why do you do what you do?
I think, first is what do I do, right? I'm an entrepreneur by trade. And I think the biggest part that drives me is just this, inner desire and curiosity, a constant curiosity just to kind of want to learn and discover more. A lot of that's centered around business. So I think that's probably what drives the entrepreneur spirit piece of me. And then the second, obviously doing a lot of these podcasts now, I do a lot of consulting and advising other entrepreneurs in business, through, again, speaking, podcasting, and my book to really, pay it back, I guess, right? And kind to hopefully save some of, these entrepreneurs from a lot of the mistakes and, pain that I went through. And maybe some of those stories can be lessons that help them, right? Because I think a lot of times in entrepreneurship, it's a very lonely place, right? Especially if you're a sole proprietor and, it's just you, or you've got employees. It's kind of a lonely place, right? Because the fears that you have, sometimes you need to kind of keep internal because you need to keep that strong face on for your team to kind of get through it. So letting these folks know that they're not alone. And oftentimes the good and bad times neither last forever, right? So if you just kind of keep moving forward in that trajectory, you'll be okay.
And your book is called Without a Plan, a memoir of unbound action and failing my way to success. Tell me about the major themes of the book.
Yeah. So, it started off very much a business book, in the idea of, me practicing what I preach, right? So, I don't believe, in having everything figured out because I don't think you can have everything figured out, right? So, I put together, the last 20 something years of my business career. And these are starting new businesses, expanding new businesses, investing and buying new companies. And, I did them all with more of a direction of what I thought I wanted to do. And that evolved as I got more information along the way, as opposed to I see so many entrepreneurs have this, paralysis by analysis where they just don't ever even get started. And then I try to talk a lot about the failures that, as opposed to how society looks at failure being a bad thing, that this is actually could be a good thing. And that's where the learning happened. So that's how it started. About halfway through, I threw the book away, which was fun. But I felt it was disingenuous because for what I just talked about, like the loneliness sometimes of an entrepreneur, I only shared the business side of it, and business is personal, right? Business is business, and people do business with businesses, right? And that human element is so crucial. So I wanted to share that piece, so I got really vulnerable on that and shared my story as well. So it became, a memoir and a business book of balancing, a lot of the prouder moments and a lot of the not so proud moments of my life, just to kind of be completely transparent and show you that, hey, it's okay. And, sometimes you don't have a plan for everything, and, you got a plan so you get, punched in the face, as Mike Tyson says. So that overcoming adversity and learning and looking at your mindset on how you treat those occurrences, was important. So that's basically 20 years of roller coaster ride, which has been fun.
So I heard a little bit there is that without a plan doesn't mean without a vision, though.
No, for sure. It's just, because and the thing with the idea without a plan is I firmly believe two things. I firmly believe a lot of things, but just for this podcast, I'll give you two. Is, number one, it's futile to think you would be able to make a decision today for something that's going to happen a year from now, when a year from now, you're going to be better armed with stuff, mainly information and stats as you kind of get through. So I think that's number one. Number two, oftentimes if you have these plans, and planners are very stick to the plan, it's almost like a precursor of what you should do that sometimes can outweigh a better, as opposed to addressing a fork in the road and like, which way do I go, left or right? If you were already planning on going left, you're going to be just like psychologically, you're going to lean towards that. And it's going to be harder for you to make that decision to go right, even though the going right is the correct decision in that piece. And also it's a journey, right? I've lived it and tell the stories in the book, but businesses evolve, right? I mean, small businesses, big, Netflix, you're not getting any, DVDs in the mail anytime soon, right? Businesses evolve. And if you are so stuck on this quote unquote plan, it very well could be the wrong plan. And what if you could have went so much further, so much deeper with it? So it's, hey, what do I want to do? What's my North Star? What's my, my vision? Let's just start off and get going. And then see where it takes us.
You mentioned a little bit about paralysis by analysis, and talk a little bit about the role of data in giving that. I think it was Clayton Christensen who said that conclusive data is only available about the past. So we need to peer into the future, and data doesn't necessarily help us do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think data is crucial, and it's real data or assumptions, right? I think that's the component. A lot of times people are focusing on this plan on market assumptions or other businesses, and yeah, it's good for a barometer, but it's not that tactical. The data you need to look at is how it affects you and your business. And the only way to do that is with real input, real revenue or real customer feedback, sales trends, that kind of thing.
And we have an exit question, Jeremy, that we ask all of our guests, and that is, who is a hero of yours and why are they a hero?
So a hero of mine. I'd say my mom's probably my hero, right? I mean, I think we all are subject of our environments. My mom is, she worked, retired from the Postal Service, so she's definitely not my entrepreneur vision mission, hero from that perspective. But I think I saw her at a very young age. I tell some of these stories in the book. I saw her at a very young age get hit with a lot of struggle and a lot of tragedy that, a young single mom at the time, because of a tragic accident, shouldn't have to go through. And that level of resilience and strength to be able to overcome what life gives you and make that conscious choice, right? Because so many times we can be, I think you heard the adage, people say things happen either for you or to you, and that can define you. So I think she's my hero in that regard, because she's been, able to remain positive, throughout all these pressures and still keep love and family as a priority. So I think that's my hero.
And lastly, Jeremy, how can somebody contact you?
So I'm Jeremy S. Delk on all socials, and jeremydelk.com on the website.
All right. The book is Without a Plan, a memoir of unbounded action and failing my way to success. The author is Jeremy Delk, who's with our guest on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast. Thanks for being a guest, Jeremy.
Thank you, Ed.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.